The Kimberly Magic Academy is a school where only 20% of the students manage to graduate. Oliver is one of the new students, making his way to the entrance ceremony, but on his way, something strange happens. A flower is following and talking to him. The flower mentions that he looks nervous to join the school. The flower advises him to relax for the day because he will find true pain until he graduates if he manages to. Oliver thanks it for the advice, and the flower leaves. He considers the flower's words and considers that it was something they always do to scare new students, but he still couldn't be sure as he doesn't really know what to expect in the future. He then notices a girl named Katie worried by the flower's words. A guy named Guy No Cap, that's his name, then appears and tells Katie to not mind the flower's words. He reveals that flowers' personalities get affected when they absorb magic particles from the ground, and that most of them have a nasty personality. Katie replies that she doesn't know about plants because she's more into magical animals. The guy gets curious and asks which animal is her favorite. At this point he's just hitting on her. She replies she loves every animal, maybe she also loves him. Then Oliver hears Michelle interrupting Pete, the bookworm. This girl tells the guy to be careful because he almost stepped on a plant and then proceeds to insult the plant, forcing it to retreat. Pete turns out to be an tsundere who doesn't need her help, and then he'll be dressed in a kimono. The plant tries to pick on her, but she ignores it. Everyone around, including Oliver, is surprised to see a samurai here. Somehow he starts getting a vision of crossing blades with her and thinks that he felt something in his heart. He guesses that it must be fate, especially when she turns away and smiles at him. Nobody could believe what was happening. After entering the school gate, there was a magical monster parade. There were griffins, salamanders, and even a bloody draken. Oliver found it mesmerizing while Guy was left stunned by the sight. Oliver told him that it was a Fafnir, impressing him with his knowledge. But Katie wasn't happy. There was a troll walking in the parade, and she feels like it was wrong. Guy is confused because trolls don't speak their language and sometimes attack people, but Katie gets mad. She yells that trolls are kind creatures and only attack because humans invade their territories. They start throwing at each other. At this point, just get a room. Guy tells that trolls invade his country and mess up the fields. Katie goes back at him, but Pete tells them to shut up because he needs to read. The two apologize, and Oliver takes advantage to talk to them, telling them that they could discuss their point of view later. They agree, and when they're about to introduce themselves, something strange happens. A random hooded girl decides to cast a spell on Katie, restraining her legs and making her run toward the parade. Oliver and Guy tell her to stop running, but she reveals that she can't. They realize it's a spell and follow up to help her. Michelle checks the situation with Pete and realizes that the troll is also moving toward Katie. The troll suddenly goes into a frenzy, attacking those nearby. Katie's legs finally stop, and she falls. The troll notices her and approaches her, preparing his arm to punch her. However, Hibiya appears behind Katie and shouts at the troll, scaring it. Hibiya instructs Katie to stand behind her since her legs are still numb and takes out her sword. Meanwhile, the others rush towards them, attempting to distract the troll as Hibiya alone wouldn't stand a chance. Michelle launches a spell at the troll to divert its attention, but it remains unfazed. They aren't strong enough yet to deal with it. Yet, Oliver has an idea. He urges everyone to cast a wind spell together on the same spot. Michelle says that a wind spell won't do anything, but Oliver tells them to trust him and do it. Michelle, Pete, and Guy follow his plan and cast their wind spells in the same place. He adds his own spell, transforming their spells into a dragon's roar that catches the troll's attention, scaring it. Michelle is astonished by Oliver's spell and shouts at Hibiya to run away, but she jumps onto the troll, and suddenly, her hair turns white. With a swift slash, she defeats the troll. Oliver realizes that she used innocent color, which only mages with strong magic can do. Hibiya can't even believe she has just done that. Her body is tingling from the clash, but she assures Katie that she will carry her. She thanks the rest for their assistance, which has created an opening inside the school. All the students gather in the hallway, waiting anxiously for the ceremony. They end up separated, but Oliver ends up by Hibiya's side. He finds out that she didn't have a plan when she tried to confront the troll. She laughs it off and explains that her katana doesn't even have a cutting edge. He explains that if their spell didn't scare the troll, She would have died but thinks she will have luck in life because someone already saved her on the first day. Suddenly, they are asked to be silent as the headmistress arrives. She is the famous Witch Esmeralda of Kimberly. Esmeralda apologizes for the earlier incident and addresses the students. They will be learning here for the next 7 years, and they will have 2 priorities, freedom and results, which means they can die at any moment. She informs them about the low graduate rate due to the strange encounters that students often face at the academy. These encounters could be becoming a going missing or even going mad and killing other students. Basically, she welcomes them to a madhouse. After the address, Hibia raises her hand to speak, and the headmistress grants her permission. It turns out this girl is recommending a method to relieve the headmistress's headache by massaging pressure points. The headmistress ignores her suggestion and instructs the students to proceed to the welcoming banquet. With a flick of her hands, the students float up and find themselves seated in chairs in front of a grand banquet table filled with delicious food. Oliver reunites with the group he had been separated from and expresses his gratitude once again for their earlier help. Michelle suggests that they introduce themselves, but they have to wait for Katie. Suddenly, Katie descends from the ceiling, and Hibia saves her. With the group now complete, they proceed with introductions. Michelle introduces herself as the eldest daughter of the noble McFarlane family and tells them they can call her Chella. And of course, your boy Guy takes a chance to hit on her. Katie introduces herself as an exchange student from Farland who has a passion for animals. Then it's Guy's turn, from a family that has run a magic farm for generations. Pete's turn comes, and he explains that his parents have no magical lineage and didn't want to make any friends, but he got hyped up when Oliver mentioned that he knows the book Pete's reading. It's Oliver's turn, and he shares his family's long lineage of mages and his expertise in arranging and adapting spells. Chella praises the impressive dragon spell he had cast. Finally, it's Hibia's turn, and she introduces herself as a member of a warrior's family. She reveals that she is attending the academy because a mage named McFarlane saved her from the brink of death years ago. The name makes them all realize that it was Chella's father who served as a lecturer at the academy. Chella can't believe that her father had gone as far as Asia to scout for talent. As they settle down to eat the food on their table, laughter and smiles fill the air. Oliver wakes up the next day to the sound of the clock knockers playing their mischievous prank, messing around with the clock needles. Glancing around the room, he notices that Pete is still asleep. Oliver heads outside when he is greeted by someone hiding and asking if something is bothering him. He holds onto his sword, replying that he is taking a look around while it's still quiet. He asks for the person's identity, but she replies that his brother sent her to watch over him. Oliver thinks this is too much, but she replies that his brother is worried about him. He asks if she will follow him around, and she replies with a yes. He then asks for her name, and she reveals herself to be Teresa. She tells him that if he needs something, he just needs to call for her. Oliver continues his walk, and with the sunrise, he finds Hibia taking a bath in the school fountain. He notices her back filled with scars and the lack of shame on her face, ignoring common sense. He takes out his wand and casts a curtain spell around the fountain. He tells her that she cannot take a bath there because every guy can see her from the window. She explains that she's purifying herself from the bloodbath of the last war she was in. He asks about her scars, and she apologizes for the unpleasant view. He looks at her once more and remembers a similar scene that happened in his past. He gets back to reality and tells her to hurry up, but since she doesn't have a towel, he gives her his jacket and realizes that they are connected by fate.